That moment when you are sitting across from a guy and everything seems normal on the surface, but your gut is screaming that something is shifting and the air in the room feels thicker and he is acting just a little bit weird, but you cannot put your finger on why. Well, I am going to tell you exactly why, because today we are diving deep into the chaotic and often hilarious mind of a man who is trying desperately to play it cool while his biology is screaming at him to seal the deal. Look, I get asked all the time, Matt, why did he say that weird thing? Or why did he suddenly get quiet? Or why is he fidgeting like he has had 10 cups of coffee? And the answer is usually the simplest one. He wants to get naughty with you, but he is terrified of messing it up. So let us cut through the noise and look at the strange behaviors men exhibit when they are secretly dying to smash, but do not have the guts to say it outright. And we have to start with the biggest paradox of all, which is the aggression of the nice guy. You see, when a man wants to get physical with you, his testosterone spikes and his protective instincts go into overdrive. But if he is not a player or a pickup artist, he does not know how to channel that energy. So it comes out as this weird, aggressive helpfulness where suddenly he is not just opening the door for you, he is practically ripping it off the hinges. Or if you mention you have a headache, he is not just sympathetic, he is researching the best doctors in the city and offering to drive you to the pharmacy right now, even though it is midnight. It is strange because it feels intense, but the reason he is doing it is that in his primal brain, he is trying to demonstrate utility, because evolution has wired us to believe that if we can provide and protect, we earn the right to mate. So if he is fixing your wobbly table or mansplaining how to change your oil with an intensity that feels unnecessary, it is because he is trying to show you he is a capable partner for the horizontal tango. Now let's talk about the second strange thing, which is what I call the glitch in the matrix, where a normally articulate and confident guy suddenly loses the ability to form sentences. You have to understand that when a man is looking at you and his imagination is running wild with scenarios of what you would look like without that dress, his brain is using up a lot of processing power on those images, which leaves very little RAM for actual conversation. So you might be talking about something mundane like your taxes or the weather, and he is just staring at you with this glazed look, and then he stammers or laughs at the wrong moment or says something completely random. It is not because he is boring or stupid, it is because he is distracted by his own desire, and he is fighting a war on two fronts, trying to listen to your words while simultaneously trying to suppress the urge to lean across the table and kiss you. It is a very specific type of brain fog that only descends when the possibility of getting lucky is on the table. This leads us to the third behavior, which is the physical orbit. Have you ever noticed that when you are in a group setting or even just walking down the street, there are guys who maintain a respectful distance, and then there is the guy who wants to hook up, who seems to have no concept of personal space? Boundaries? He is not doing it to be creepy necessarily. He is doing it because he wants to create a bubble of intimacy where it is just the two of you, even if you are in a crowded room. He will stand just an inch too close, or he will lean in to hear you even when it is perfectly quiet, or he will find reasons to touch your arm or guide you by the lower back. And this is a classic tell. He is testing the waters to see how you react to his touch. Because if you flinch, he knows the door is closed. But if you lean into it, he knows he is one step closer to getting what he wants. It is a subtle dance of proximity where he is trying to merge your energies and break down that physical barrier that separates friends from lovers. But here is where it gets really strange and counterintuitive, because sometimes when a man wants you the most, he actually starts to ignore you. I know it sounds mad, but stay with me on this. If he is a guy who prides himself on being in control and suddenly he feels this overwhelming attraction to you, it scares him because it makes him feel vulnerable. So to regain his sense of power, he might pull back or act aloof or even look at his phone while you are talking. It is a defense mechanism. He is trying to prove to himself and to you that he is not affected by your beauty, because he thinks that if he shows too much interest, he will lose his leverage or look desperate. It is the classic playground tactic of pulling the pigtails of the girl you like. But in grown men, it manifests as this weird hot and cold behavior, where 1 minute he is intensely focused on you, and the next he is pretending you do not exist. It is frustrating, I know, but it is often a sign that you have gotten under his skin in a major way. Now, let's pivot to something a bit more biological, which is the voice drop. You might not even notice this consciously, but your subconscious picks it up. When a man is turned on, his vocal cords actually relax and his voice drops a slightly lower register. It is not the fake deep voice guys put on when they are trying to sound tough. It is a soft, gravelly tone that comes out when he is speaking to you intimately. If you notice that he speaks to the waiter in one pitch and then turns to you and his voice gets lower and slower, that is his body betraying his secret desire. He is subconsciously trying to soothe you and seduce you at the same time. And while we are talking about subconscious signals, we have to talk about the eyes. They say the eyes are the window to the soul, but in this case, they are the window to his libido. There is a specific pattern of eye contact known as the triangle gaze, where he looks at one eye, then the other eye, and then drops his gaze to your mouth and then back up to your eyes. He is not doing this on purpose. It is an automatic reflex because he is imagining kissing you. If you catch him staring at your lips while you are talking about your grandmother, that is a clear sign that his mind is not on your family history, it is on your mouth. But there is another level to this eye contact, which is the avoidance. Some guys are so overwhelmed by their attraction that they literally cannot make eye contact with you because they feel like you will see right through them and know exactly what dirty thoughts they are having. So if he is looking everywhere but at you, or if he looks at you and then quickly darts his eyes away when you catch him, it is because he feels guilty about how much he wants to smash, and he is trying to hide it. Now let us get into the weird territory of the roast. You know how you watch nature documentaries and the male birds do these ridiculous dances to get the female's attention? Well, human men do the same thing, but instead of dancing, they tease you. It is strange because if he wants to get intimate, why would he risk offending you by making fun of your laugh or your drink choice or the way you walk? It goes back to that tension. Sexual tension is a form of conflict. It is a friction between two people, and teasing is a safe way to create that friction without it getting too serious. He wants to get a reaction out of you. He wants to see you smile or roll your eyes or hit him playfully on the arm, because all of that is engagement. If he is being polite and formal, he is treating you like a colleague or a distant relative. But if he is roasting you, he is trying to build a rapport that feels dynamic and playful, because playfulness is the precursor to intimacy. He is trying to show you that he is fun and that he can handle your banter, because he wants you to think of him as a fun partner in the bedroom too. But the strangest thing about the teasing is when it gets oddly specific. He might tease you about being a troublemaker or a bad girl, and that is pure projection. He is projecting the role he wants you to play. He wants you to be the bad girl who breaks the rules with him, so he frames you that way in his jokes. It is a psychological prime to get you thinking about yourself in a more risque context. And then there is the jealousy flare-up. You might not even be dating this guy. You might just be friends or hanging out. But the moment you mention another guy's name, watch his reaction closely. Does he get quiet? Does he make a snide comment? Does his whole demeanor stiffen up? That is the green-eyed monster rearing its head, because in his mind you are already his, or at least he wants you to be. And the thought of another man getting the goods that he is craving drives him absolutely crazy. He might try to play it off like he is just looking out for you, saying things like, oh, that guy sounds like a jerk, or I do not think he is right for you. But really he is just marking his territory. It is irrational and it is strange behavior for someone who has not even made a move yet. But desire makes men irrational. It rewrites the logic centers of the brain and replaces them with a singular drive to eliminate the competition. Now, I want to touch on the grooming panic. If you ever surprise a guy or meet up with him spontaneously and he seems flustered and keeps fixing his hair or checking his breath or adjusting his shirt, that is because he wants to present the best possible version of himself to you. If he did not care about sleeping with you, he would not care if his hair was messy or if he had a stain on his shirt. But because the stakes are high in his mind, he becomes hyper aware of his physical appearance. He is wondering if he looks good enough to tempt you. You will see him running his hands through his hair constantly or straightening his posture to look taller and broader. It is peacocking, pure and simple. He wants you to look at him and feel that spark of attraction, so he is preening himself like a bird on display. And speaking of display, let's talk about the manspread. I know it is a controversial term, but in the context of dating body language, it is a real thing. When a man is sitting across from you and he wants to get physical, he will often take up more space. He will splay his legs or stretch his arms out over the back of the chair. This is partly dominance and partly an unconscious display of his goods. He is opening up his body language to invite you in. A guy who is closed off or not interested will have his arms crossed or his legs crossed away from you. But a guy who wants to get down will have an open stance that signals availability and virility. It is primitive, and he probably does not even know he is doing it, but it is a signal loud and clear. Now, here is a really subtle one. The mirroring. When we are in rapport with someone, we tend to copy their body language. But when a man is trying to seduce you, this goes into overdrive. If you take a sip of your drink, he takes a sip. If you lean forward, he leans forward. If you tilt your head, he tilts his head. He is trying to synchronize with you on a physical level because he wants to synchronize with you on a sexual level. It creates a feeling of we are the same and we belong together. If you want to test this, just do something distinctive like touch your ear or shift your weight and see if he follows suit. If he does, he is locked onto you like a heat-seeking missile. Another strange thing is the topic of conversation. You will notice that if he wants to move things to the bedroom, he will steer the conversation away from logic and towards feeling. He won't ask you what you think about the economy. He will ask you how you feel about things. He will ask about your passions, your fears, your memories. He is trying to deepen the emotional connection because he knows that for most women, emotional connection is the bridge to physical intimacy. He might also start talking about sensory things like how good the food tastes or how soft the fabric of the couch is or how warm it is in the room. He is trying to get you out of your head and into your body. He is planting the seeds of sensory awareness so that you become more aware of your own physical sensations and by extension, more aware of him. It is a very clever linguistic trick that picks up artist use, but regular guys do it instinctively when they are attracted to someone. They want to create an atmosphere of sensuality. And let's not forget the clock watching. If a guy wants to sleep with you, he becomes very aware of time, but in a weird way, he will try to extend the time you spend together. If you say you have to go, he will say stay for one more drink, or he will come up with a reason to show you something else or take you to another location. He is trying to keep the momentum going because he knows that if you leave, the spell might break. He is fighting against the clock to get to the point where things can cross the line. On the flip side, he might be checking the time because he is calculating the logistics. He is thinking, okay, if we leave now, we can get to my place in 20 minutes. He is running a logistical marathon in his head while trying to hold a conversation with you. So if he seems a bit distracted or keeps glancing at his watch, but not in a I am bored way, more in a plotting way, that is a sign he is trying to figure out the timeline for getting you alone. Now, I want to talk about the strange phenomenon of the accidental innuendo. When a man has sex on the brain, everything sounds like a double entendre. You might say something completely innocent, like, I am so full from that dinner, and he will smirk or choke on his drink. Or you might say, this is really hard, meaning the puzzle you are doing, and he will give you a look. His brain is effectively in the gutter, so everything you say is being filtered through that lens. He might even start making a lot of jokes that are bordering on inappropriate, not because he is being disrespectful, but because he is testing your boundaries. He wants to see if you laugh or if you get offended. If you laugh, it signals to him that you are open to that kind of vibe. It is a way of escalating the tension without explicitly asking for it. It is risky, but men who are driven by desire will take those risks because the potential reward is worth it. And finally, in this first batch of strange behaviors, we have to mention the obsession with your status. If a man wants to sleep with you, he needs to know if the coast is clear, so he will find very creative ways to ask if you are seeing anyone without actually asking. He won't just say, do you have a boyfriend? He will say something like, I bet your boyfriend hates that you are out this late, or you must have guys blowing up your phone right now. He is fishing for information. He wants you to correct him and say, oh, I don't have a boyfriend, or no, nobody is texting me. He is trying to clear the runway for his landing. It is a protective measure, so he does not invest all this energy into seducing you only to find out there is another guy in the picture. It is strange because it often comes off as him assuming you are taken, but really it is him hoping against hope that you are free and available for what he has in mind. So those are the early signs, the glitches, the body language, the weird conversation pivots, but we are just scratching the surface here because as we get deeper into the interaction, the behaviors get even more specific and frankly, even more ridiculous, because the closer a man gets to the possibility of actually hooking up, the more his brain starts to short circuit in fascinating ways. And that is what we are going to cover in the next part of this speech, where we will look at the escalation phase and how he acts when he thinks he actually has a shot. So we are back and the temperature is rising because we have moved past the initial awkwardness, and now we are in the danger zone where he is actually trying to make a move without making a fool of himself. And this is where things get really interesting, because one of the most potent signs that a man is desperate to get physical with you is the sudden fascination with your scent. It is primal and it is animalistic, because in the wild, scent is how we choose a mate. So if he suddenly leans in and says, wow, you smell incredible, or asks what perfume you are wearing, that is not just a polite compliment. That is him inhaling your pheromones and getting a chemical high off of your presence. He is literally trying to breathe you in because his biology is telling him that you are a match, and he wants to be as close to that scent as possible. So if he buries his face in your neck during a hug or lingers just a little too long, when he leans in to hear you speak, he is intoxicated by you. And this leads directly to the next behavior, which is the grooming touch. We talked about him fixing his own hair, but when he wants to smash, he will start finding excuses to fix you. He might reach out and tuck a strand of hair behind your ear, or pick a piece of imaginary lint off your shoulder, or adjust your necklace. This is huge because it is a boundary crossing move. He is breaking the touch barrier under the guise of being helpful, but really he just wants to feel your skin, and he wants to see if you recoil or if you lean into it. It is a micro test of compliance and intimacy. If you let him fix your hair without pulling away, his confidence skyrockets because his brain registers that as you submitting to his care and his touch. Now let us talk about the sudden vulnerability dump. This is a strange one because men are usually guarded, but if he wants to sleep with you, he knows on some level that he needs to create an emotional opening to get a physical opening. So he might suddenly start telling you about his childhood trauma or his fear of failure or how lonely he has been lately. It feels very deep, and you might think, wow, he is really opening up to me. And maybe he is, but the timing is suspect. He is trying to fast track the sense of intimacy because he knows that women generally need to feel safe and connected before they get naughty. So he is essentially speed running the relationship building phase to get to the finish line. It is not necessarily malicious, but it is strategic. He is trading secrets for access. And then there is the hypothetical future. This is what we call future pacing. He will start talking about things you guys should do together in the future, like, oh, we should totally go to that concert next month, or I have to take you to this secret beach, I know. He is painting a picture of a future together to lower your defenses in the present. He wants you to feel like this isn't just a one-night stand, even if it is. He wants you to feel like there is longevity here so that you feel comfortable giving it up tonight. It is a way of saying, look, I am not going anywhere so you can trust me. Whether he actually follows through on that beach trip is a whole nother story, but in that moment, he needs you to believe it so that you feel safe enough to let your guard down. And we have to mention the behavior of the protector against the world. If you are in a bar or a club and someone bumps into you or a guy looks at you the wrong way, watch how he reacts. If he wants to be the one taking you home, he will become hyper defensive. He will put his arm around you to shield you, or he will glare at the other guy with genuine aggression. He is signaling to the rest of the room that you are taken, and he is signaling to you that he can keep you safe. It is that caveman instinct coming out again, saying, this is my mate and nobody else touches her. But the funniest behavior is the clumsy fumble. You would think a guy who wants to seduce you would be smooth, but often the opposite happens. The adrenaline pumping through his veins makes him jittery, so he might spill his drink or drop his keys or trip over his own feet. If a guy who is normally coordinated suddenly turns into a clumsy mess around you, it is because his nervous system is overloaded with desire. He is so focused on not screwing up that he screws up. It is actually quite endearing if you know what to look for. He is short-circuiting because you are overwhelmed his circuits. Now, as we get closer to the end of the night, watch out for the logistics check. He will start asking questions that seem casual but are actually tactical. He will ask, who do you live with? Or do you have an early morning tomorrow? Or how did you get here? He is calculating the obstacles. If you have a roommate, he needs to know. If you have to work at 6 a.m., he needs to know. He is running a mental algorithm to see if coming back to your place or taking you to his is feasible. He is not just making conversation, he is planning a mission. And finally, there is the linger. The night is over, the bill is paid, or the movie has ended and he just won't leave. He stands by your car or walks you to your door and he just stands there. He is waiting for the signal. He is terrified to go in for the kiss or ask to come in because he fears rejection, but he wants it so bad that he cannot bring himself to walk away. He is hovering in the space between friendship and intimacy, hoping you will bridge the gap. It is that pregnant pause where the air is thick and he is looking at your lips and then your eyes, and he is practically vibrating with the urge to grab you. So what do you do with all this information? Why does it matter that he is preening or stumbling or asking about your roommate? Look, knowing these signs is not about calling him out or making him feel awkward. It is about giving yourself the power of clarity. When you can read the code, you are no longer wondering what is going on. You are not sitting there anxious thinking, does he like me or is he just being nice? You see the biology at work. You see the desire behind the mask. And that puts you in the driver's seat. Because once you know he wants you, the question stops being, does he want me? And it starts being, do I want him? You get to decide. You are the prize here. He is the one doing the dance. He is the one sweating and stuttering and trying to impress you. You are the one with the leverage. So if you see these strange things, do not be weirded out, be flattered, and then be decisive. If you want to engage with that energy, if you want to have fun and get physical, then you can lean into it. You can touch him back. You can laugh at his jokes. You can give him the green light he is desperately searching for. But if you do not want to go there, you can politely ignore the signs, maintain your boundaries, and keep it moving, knowing full well that you are desirable and high value without needing to give anything away. Intimacy is a beautiful thing, but it should always be a choice, not a confusing accident. So the next time a guy is acting strange, aggressive, helpful, clumsy, or just plain weird, take a breath, smile to yourself, and realize that he is just a man under the spell of his own biology, trying to figure out how to get close to the incredible woman sitting in front of him. You hold the keys to the kingdom. Use them wisely.